All right, so I did similar stuff to this with Dungeonborn. I'd kind of go over the patch notes and everything anytime they'd come out. So we're kind of going to do this the same thing here. Now, I will say, however, this game's only been out for a couple of days, so I don't have a real deep understanding of the game yet. So normally I'll give my thoughts and stuff on these abilities or on these changes. But again, because the game's only been out for a couple days and I haven't played that much yet, I'm not going to have a ton of thoughts on this stuff. Currently, I've got about 14 hours in the game, so it's not like a ton of time. Some of these classes I haven't played extensively. I've mostly played Sorcerer so far. I've played a little bit of Shadow Strix. So again, I don't really have a ton of information on this. Especially with the limited player base, it's been hard to get PvP as well. So I haven't really had that many team fights. So again, that's another thing where it's hard to get the balance and kind of have ideas on some of this stuff. But we'll do our best. Again, I can mostly speak on Sorcerer, but that'll be strictly from my own view. I do feel Sorcerer was probably in most need of adjustments, we'll say. Just playing Sorcerer and then playing anything else, it felt so like Sorcerer could just do everything and had so many tools and felt extremely strong. And then, yeah, playing other things didn't feel as good. But again, that's just my own personal experience, right? Again, I don't have a ton of time in Black Arrow. I've maybe played a couple games as Black Arrow. I don't even think I've played a game as Mercenary yet. I think I got to level 5 as Shadow Strix. So again, I don't have a ton of information on this, or a ton of knowledge on this as I play the game. Hopefully that'll change. But yeah, I wanted to kind of touch on this just because it is only 2 days in and they're already doing balancing things. Good or bad, could go both ways, right? It could be knee-jerk stuff without enough time for the meta, so to speak, to settle. But it's good that they are aware and they're paying attention to stuff and they are willing to make changes. But yeah, I don't want to get too excited about any of that because Dungeonborn started off okay and then they just faded into nothingness, basically. So we won't get our hopes up just yet. But anyway, November 28th, server maintenance notice. Dear Guild and Hunters, we will be performing a server maintenance on November 28th at 8 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Matchmaking will be disabled from 7:35 a.m. Eastern Time onwards. Maintenance may end early when it will be notified in Discord. After the maintenance, please restart the game, update the game client to resume playing. So balance changes. Sorcerer. So again, I think this is probably the one that needed the most adjustment. But I did hear people saying Black Arrow is really strong too. I personally, a part of it is because I can't rebind my controls, and it was potentially because it felt clunkier trying to switch between arrows and stuff like that. Man, I wish that was in this patch notes, that they added the ability to rebind controls, because that is ridiculous. Anyway, balance and changes. Sorcerer. The damage fall off multiplier of Meteor Charm when cast beyond its effective range has been increased. So that's basically I think you shoot a meteor. I'm pretty sure it's that one. Basically, it's like an aimed rock that you shoot at your target. So it does have pretty solid range. And there is a talent to make it shoot even further and have better effective range. So I would imagine this kind of adjusts both of those and makes it just shorter range. Or is it not? It's not shorter range. It's where the damage fall off comes in. Pass beyond its effective range has been increased. Okay, so it sounds like it's going to do less damage at longer ranges. Number 2 is the damage and poise reduction rate of Stardust Torrent has been reduced. So that's the one you cast, and it's like a little dust storm, star storm kind of thing that hits multiple times. So the damage it does, which isn't that much. I think mine was doing like maybe 11 damage a tick. And the poise reduction rate of Stardust Torrent has been reduced. Yeah, okay, so it's weaker. The damage and poise reduction rate of Crystal Ice Bolt has been reduced. Okay, so again, another nerf. I was using Crystal Ice Bolt a little bit until I switched to the Stardust stuff. I do kind of want to go back and try Ice Bolt out a little bit more. Number one, I want to get the upgraded charges. So I think it goes up to 5 Ice Bolts that you get. And then I want to try the elemental thing that when you apply, each hit with an element applies a elemental mark, I believe it's called. And then the third mark consumes them all, but then does an elemental effect. And in the case of ice, it's a freeze. So you have those ice spikes. The first 2 hit, add those 2 marks. The third one hits the last mark, or adds the last mark, and then consumes them and freezes your target. So I feel like that could potentially be strong, mainly in PvP, but I do want to try that out. So that's been nerfed. Yeah, just less damage, less poise reduction on the ice bolts now. Number 4, the energy cost of Thunderstrike and Flame Strike have been increased. I think Flame Strike is similar to Meteor Charm, and that's the one that, like, it's basically an aimed line and you shoot a projectile. I don't know if that needed to be increased, or the energy cost needed to be increased on that. Flame Strike felt awful. Thunderstrike, on the other hand, that was the first ability I really used, and that thing, you just spam the ever-loving shit out of that. So probably good that it's got an increased energy cost now. And then I think there's a talent as well that when you crit with it, you get some energy back. So you could spam it quite a bit before. The duration and maximum casting range of Forbidden Gate has been reduced. Okay, that's another staple that I used all the time. That was the wall you could put up. Both yourself, your allies, and enemies could not pass through it. There is a talent where it does let your allies and yourself pass through it, and you get a speed buff when you go through it. So that was nice. That was one of the first perks I unlocked, or one of the first talents. Okay, so yeah, it's gonna, I assume it means it's gonna not stay up as long, and then the casting range is reduced. So it wasn't like super long range to begin with. But the duration is the only part I think to me that really matters. Most of the time when I was casting it, it was fairly close range anyway, so that shouldn't be too bad. Number 6, the effective window of Cryptic Ward has been extended. So I believe that is the trap that you can put on the ground. I personally haven't used it, so I don't have any experience with it. And I assume by effective window, I assume that means when somebody can step on it. I'm not 100% sure on that. And then lastly, number 7, Cryptic Trap maximum charges has been increased to 4. So again, I don't really know. I don't know what the initial charges were. I'm going to say like 2 or 3 maybe. Because 4 would be a pretty big jump from 1. So I would say probably 2 or 3. But yeah, I guess they want people to use the trap more. Moving on to Black Arrow. Number 1, the damage fall off multipliers of Scatter Shot and Rapid Arrows when cast beyond their effective ranges have been increased. Okay, so similar to the what was it? The Meteor Charm, right? So damage multipliers are going to fall off more. Which honestly, the way the game feels so far, range does seem to be king. So yeah, having damage fall off at longer ranges is probably a good thing. So that's a bit of a nerf to Scatter Shot, which I believe is the 7 arrow shot thing, the spread shot kind of thing. And then Rapid Arrows I haven't used. I think it's just like the multi-shot kind of thing. Number 2, the damage rate of Lightning Arrow has been reduced. I believe that's just the Chain Lightning Arrow. So that's been nerfed. The poise reduction rate of a fully charged Lightning Arrow has been reduced. More reduction to Lightning Arrow. I don't know if I've used lightning arrow. Again, I've only played like 2 or 3 games with black arrow, so I'm not really too knowledgeable on that. But yeah, it seems like lightning arrow is getting hit pretty hard here. Number 4, the damage and poise reduction rate of spore arrow has been reduced. So that's the little, I think if you hit the person directly, you're just doing damage, but if you shoot the ground, it pulls out or grows a little mushroom that they can your enemy can step on, and it does like a little poison cloud kind of thing. And then yeah, 5, spore poison damage has been reduced, so spore arrow getting nerfed. And then number 6, cooldowns of impact bomb and frostbite bomb have been reduced, so a bit of a buff to those, the little grenade things. Personally, I haven't unlocked them yet, so I haven't tried them out, but looks like they're a little bit better now. You can use them more often. Moving on to mercenary. Number 1, base health has been increased to 600. Something I will say now, I probably should have thought of it back here when they were talking about the charges. Something, hopefully, if the dev team sees this, or whoever does up these notes sees this, hopefully you guys start doing the update as well as what it was previously. So base health has been increased to 600 from 200 or 300, whatever it is. Just because I personally can't keep track of that stuff. I have no idea. I could not tell you for the life of me what their base health is. So it would be nice to see in these patch notes, and even just to have that information at a quick glance when you're looking at these, instead of having to go search for it, right? Hopefully you guys can add this to the patch notes, so that we can kind of just see it at a glance, you know? I think a lot of people would appreciate that, seeing the actual changes. So yeah, I don't know if 600, it's an increase, but I don't know if it's a big increase, little increase. I don't know if it was 550 before or 500 or whatever. So yeah, base defense has been increased to 60. So again, all I can say is that an increase is a buff to that. So can't really speak too much on that, whether that's good or bad. Base movement speed has been increased to 10%. Okay, so a little faster, just again, buff. Number 4, minor healing elixir ×3 have been added to the default equipment. Do they not have those? Not everybody had those. I guess not. I guess that's good. Free healing. Okay, moving on to Shadow Strix. Number 1, base health has been increased to 600. So they are on par with health to the mercenary, which is kind of interesting because they're like the kind of light assassin-y type class. So it's interesting that they now have the same base health as mercenary. Obviously, mercenary has more defenses and stuff too. So yeah, I mean, it's an increase. No idea what it was, because if mercenary went from 500 to 600 and Shadow Strix went from like 200 to 600, very different types of buffs there. So yeah, I can't really say too much there. Again, base movement speed has been increased. So again, I was saying that it felt like range was king, and it looks like they're doing things here to try and help melee a little bit more, whether it's giving them more health so they can tank more shots as they're trying to close the distance. They're giving more movement speed, a little bit of defense for mercenary. So it kind of makes sense that they're buffing the melee aspect a little bit more. And number 3, minor healing elixir ×3 have been added to default equipment. So they're getting heals by default as well. I guess that's it. I was expecting this to be a little bit longer. When I looked at it on Discord, it felt like it was fairly long, but I guess it's really not. Yeah, so I guess that's it. So I don't know if these changes are anything super crazy or anything like that. Again, not knowing the numbers and not knowing the game as much as I'd like yet. I can't really say too much, but there you go. The base thing I can take away from this is, again, they were feeling like range was a little bit too strong, and that melee was kind of at a disadvantage. So they're giving them some tools and some buffs to kind of get get in there and close the distance on those ranged units a little bit more here. So we'll see how that plays out. Actually, speaking on the movement speed, and I guess the defense as well, I was paired up with a random the other day, and he was fighting a sorcerer. I had died to some janky stuff. We won't get into that. But yeah, he was fighting a sorcerer, just a 1v1, and the mercenary, I don't think he played it very well, but he basically gave the sorcerer all the advantage. He was fighting him out in the open. There's like a weird wooden platform with a set of stairs to go up to get onto it. And the mercenary is just kind of standing at the base of it, letting the sorcerer get free hits in and stuff like that. I don't know if the base defense and movement speed would have helped him. But I think it might have helped a little bit because he got in a big hit with one of his hammer slams and really had this sorcerer. Surely he had him hurt. I think he hit him for like 400 and something. So that sorcerer had to have been pretty hurt. And then he started chasing him. I think he could have kept chasing, but for whatever reason he didn't. But having that extra movement speed to keep chasing could be really good. But yeah, to me, it's been very apparent that range has the advantage in this game right now. And I think melee will be helped by this, and will it be enough? I don't know. But yeah, I do think they needed help in terms of like survival and just being able to close the gap on ranged units. Moving on to the miscellaneous updates. I'm praying. I don't think it's in there. I kind of briefly glanced. I hope they're talking about control rebinding. Probably not. Added support for GTX 1070 series, RTX 3050 series, and RTX 4050 laptop graphics cards. Lowered the minimum memory requirement to 10 gigabytes. I don't know what it was originally. Laptops should be less likely to encounter issues where the game could not be started due to insufficient memory. Fixed an issue where the sorcerer's rock blast may become glitched after acquiring the talent Lingering Flames. Oh, I almost took that talent too. I think that's the one where your rock blast, after it hits, it leaves a dot on the a damage over time effect on whatever it hits. Fix an issue where the visual effects of the Sorcerer's Stardust Torrent may not dissipate. Oh, okay. So again, it's like a dust storm kind of thing that you leave on the ground. And I guess there was an issue where it didn't disappear. I didn't experience that at all, but obviously it was an issue. Fix an issue where character controls may become unresponsive. I thought so hard. I was for a split second, I was like, character controls? No. May become unresponsive under certain circumstances. Fix an issue where the hero's ale consumption info may not be displayed correctly under certain circumstances. Fix an issue where incorrect prompts may appear when attempting to purchase items from the auction with a full inventory and warehouse. And then finally, fix an issue where the class icons may not be displayed correctly on the leaderboard. Some stuff there. None of that really affected me, but hopefully, especially for the people up here, hopefully that helps you guys out and kind of gets rid of some of your issues. But yeah, nothing too crazy here. We'll see how these balance changes perform. I'm going to jump on and get some games in now. I'll probably keep going with Sorcerer a little bit, and then maybe try out Mercenary or Shadow Strix, maybe Black Arrow. I don't know. Yeah, I mainly want to see how Sorcerer feels with some of these nerfs. I don't think it's going to be... Again, like, I don't know. The damage and poise reduction has been reduced. I don't know what that means. If it did 100 damage and they reduced it to 2 damage, that's huge. If it did 100 damage and they reduced it to 99, not so huge. So again, hopefully devs in the future, you guys do it where you talk about or you show the actual before and after numbers. Also, something to take from Dungeonborn, one of the few things they did do right leading up to the end is It would be nice. Actually, no, they stopped doing it, and that was one of the big problems. It doesn't necessarily have to be for everything, but it would be nice if you did something where you kind of gave your thoughts. Like the damage fall off multiplier of Meteor Charm when cast beyond its effective range has been increased. Dev knows. We found this to be necessary as sorcerers were able to stay at a longer distance, making it harder for other melee classes to get in, and they were doing too much at range. And so that's why we nerfed it. Something like that. Not those exact words, but something like that would be nice. Just a little more thought on why you're doing it. And not just doing it. You have some reasons behind it. Even if it's just general like sorcerer stuff at the end. We feel sorcerers a little too strong at longer ranges, so we've taken down a lot of the range stuff to give melee characters a chance to get in and actually compete. Something like that. Again, doesn't have to be for every single one. Even just a general thing would be nice, but some kind of thought behind why they're doing this would be nice to see. But that's if any of the devs that actually see this. But yeah. I think that's basically it. Like I said, I'm going to go try and get some games in and see how some of this stuff feels. And try and get some game knowledge. So next time we get some patch notes, I have a little bit more insight into this stuff. But hopefully that helps you guys. Hopefully you gain something from this, some kind of knowledge from this. I don't know. Let me know down below if what you guys think about these. Maybe you guys play some other classes that I haven't really played too much yet, and you can kind of speak on whether these are good changes, bad changes, whatever. But yeah, that's going to do it for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.